and I keep robbing myself from that.
Yeah, so you rob yourself and you discount yourself as well.
So if that's what the fuck imposter syndrome is, then like I'm the fucking poster child for that shit.
Right. I think most tattoo artists can definitely relate. I think most artists, I've always called something the artist curse. I think that's kind of a part of that. I think that our listeners out there are likely either discovering for the first time right now, kind of like Hip is, like, holy shit, this is something I've been going through for a long time, or something that you may go through, but you end up discrediting and discounting yourself, and you're never really able to enjoy the fruits of your labor because, again, like I remember thinking the word charlatan, and I was like, man, if these guys only knew like what they think is a cool style. Like, you've heard me say it before, like, man, I love when you do your portraits, how you decided to like not really fuck with the ears too much. And it's like, in my brain, I'm like, that's because I'm lazy, dog. You know what I mean? Like, I can't take a moment to go, yeah, I spent a lot of time studying, these beautiful sketches, and I did that on purpose so I can, make it have more like meaning and movement to it, and like catching a fleeting moment. I just can't just simply say thank you and accept it. I might look like it, I'll shake your hand real firm, but inside I'm like, if they only knew.
Dude, I've shown people my artwork, or I've tattooed a client, and then I've showed them artwork of someone that I look up to that's an amazing artist, and they're like, oh, you're better than them. And I'm like, you're fucking drunk, dude.
Right.
Put some glasses on.
Like you almost get in fighting mode even. Like, your conviction is so strong for that person because you've discredited and discounted yourself. I've heard you on this podcast sit here and say, well, there's no way somebody's out there that wants me over somebody else. I've heard you say that.
Oh, yeah.
In this year's time, I've seen you tear yourself down multiple times without even skipping a beat. So it's a good time to talk about this. You know what I mean? And Matt, like, I haven't heard much from you because I've been yammering, but you got to feel this too. There's no way you're at the level that you're at without feeling that.
And you almost feel more when you get a new level, when you step into a new level.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You guys know I'm the founder of Tattoo Business Mastery. Last round, there were shop owners that have been in the game 33 years, longer than my ass. And if I gave into imposter syndrome, I could, because it causes you to ask yourself, who the fuck am I? Am I really that good? My unanswerable question is, am I good enough?
It's the same. We got the same question.
That's right. And so we all face it. It's what we do, how we combat it, how we deal with it is what's important, because we're not going to find a listener that doesn't face it. Either of these two topics, analysis paralysis or imposter syndrome. It's how to combat it, how to overcome it, how to break through it, and how to deal with it, I believe, is a combo platter. This is why vision is important. This is why you declaring your goals is important. This is why you making a declaration of who you've decided to be in this season of your life is important. But this is also why our brethren in our circle of influence is important. This is why we need each other, because we can remind one another who we really are. And we all need reminded every day because we forget every day. I thank God for all the brothers and sisters in my life that have believed in me more than I believed in me in that season. And Josh, you brought up, we've witnessed Hip downplay himself multiple times. And I know and you too, we've gotten to be brethren in his life, i.e. his circle of influence, to speak his truth back to him, to remind him, no, sir, you are good enough. Sir, you deserve a seat at this table. You are sitting in your seat. That's your microphone. That's your headphones. You are worthy to be here at this table on this podcast. Haven't we all experienced imposter syndrome by doing this podcast?
Absolutely.
But look, here we are. For all you listeners that are appreciating, enjoying this podcast, are you glad that we've been somehow not allowing imposter syndrome to prevent us from not doing another episode?
God.
But yet here we are. But I get to be the guy to say, dude, you are worthy. Me and Josh invited you and gave you that seat at that table fucking on purpose, for a purpose. You're supposed to be here. And you know what? Hip and you, Josh, have been that same brother in my life and turn around and will remind me why I, too, am supposed to be sitting here.
Which you bring up a good point, accountability, right? I'd rather have 4 quarters than 100 pennies. So it's like, if we put iron sharpens iron, dude.
Yes.
If we put people in our life that have the same dreams and aspirations as we do, they won't co-sign our bullshit,
right,
and they'll fucking pull us up to something higher. And like, you're going on, and I kept thinking about like the dudes that shoot themselves in the foot,
yeah,
right? And I remember you pointed this out to me a couple years ago. You're like, Hip, you only get this fucking far, and then it's like, you kind of like backslide over like the stupidest, most ridiculous shit.
Right.
And for whatever reason, I almost overcompensated, and I think it was something about like coming to be a leader, and like, so I took on that role as if like almost like, well, fucking you didn't even exist, and I start fucking shot call, doing all this, and I almost like not overstepped my boundaries, but it's like I just didn't let the process unfold naturally like it was supposed to. So it was like, I don't know, reverse imposter syndrome. It was like, well, okay, here's someone I got on a pedestal that I fucking take their word as law, and so I'm gonna try to overachieve, and it almost did harm too, which that is the same place that could get me, and I'm speaking from experience on feelings, the same place to shoot myself in the foot, you know, and be right back in the same place. But luckily, because I have people around me like you guys,
yeah,
it was pointed out to me like, dude, just fucking chill and like let shit happen the way it's supposed to happen and just enjoy it. You were doing fine what you were doing. It's just that one little area you have to work on and overcome it. Because once you get to the peak of the mountain, you get a little breather, and then you keep fucking climbing. And man, there's so much to fucking unpack with this. God damn it, Josh. I didn't know this. I didn't know we were going to fucking tell my story on here, but fuck it, I'll stay on a chopping block. I will fucking... I'm scared of this. I spoke about this with my sponsor, but I didn't know it was imposter syndrome. It's like... I wrote down while you were talking, Matt, what would I be without this, right? And in my mind, I think I wouldn't be, and this is so fucking oxymoronic to even say, but I believe that each of us have a level of humility.
Yes.
I think that I keep my humility or humbleness, or attempt to keep that and be in that, even though humble don't speak on itself. I know, listeners, I know what I'm saying just sounds ridiculous, but if I didn't have that imposter syndrome, like, what would I have to keep my ego in check, or think that I'm like the fucking cool guy and fucking like, you know, just too fucking cool for school? And because I've met them types of artists before, and it's fucking disgusting, and it's a turnoff, and arrogance.
Yeah.
And
great. So here's the distinction, because you're turning this into an either or, thinking that that's keeping humility. Josh brought up like, you know, like that award in France, you know, could go to his head or whatever. There is a huge difference between loving yourself, self-love, receiving self-worth, receiving the award, and being humbled by that, versus ego, I'm the motherfucking shit. There's a difference. And imposter syndrome, this isn't for you to just all of a sudden become the most badass version of you and fucking know it and be egotistical about it. This is actually about you stepping into the most badass version of you, starting with receiving and loving yourself, all the good, all the places you're still working on, your flaws and your accomplishments, but receiving self-love. And that alone is so humbling that it doesn't cause you to be an egotistical asshole, because you know what it took for you to get this award today, and you are supposed to receive it. Just like when you breathe in, you know, anything is moving and living. That's why I breathe in, I breathe out. I breathe in, I breathe out. When you breathe in, you can receive. I am worthy. I do deserve to sit at this table. I am good. They obviously say so. I receive that. in spite of all my still doubts, well, I'm still not perfect. I could have shaded that left side better, but it still wasn't best to show, whatever, to allow yourself to receive the love and it not go to your head and be ego. Do you see the distinction that I'm trying to make?